When I started out with this business, my remit was to structure HR and to ensure health and safety compliance. Wow, okay, yeah, let's go with that. So, our business, we are a family-owned business. Like I say, we've got 3 sites in close proximity. The National Motorcycle Museum and National Conference Centre. I don't know if any of you have been to the Conference Centre or the museum. It's the biggest collection of British-built motorbikes anywhere in the world. Okay, we also have 2 hotel sites. We've got the Man Hotel at Meriden and the Windmill Village Hotel, Golf Club and Spa. So it's quite a dynamic business, but it's hospitality. We've effectively got, as of this morning, 428 employees, and that's a mixture between core and casual employees. When I say core employees, they're contracted to do a set amount of hours per week. That could be 40, it could be 30 hours a week. And then we have our casual population, and that creates a dynamic in itself. I'll talk about HR and the system and that's how it's helped us as we go on. But for any business, well, for our business in particular, and for our owners, it's all about customer service, and that's really easy. But as you know, in your businesses, what your end goal is, there's a lot of things that happen to get there. And human resources, as I see it, is a big part of that. When I first joined the business back in 2015, one of the things that amazed me was retention in hospitality. Job retention, when I measured it at the hotels, was just under 70%. And you can't build a business on a staff turnover of that. So I'm pretty proud today that we're sitting just under 30%, albeit we've been through a pandemic, and we're currently, like I say, just over 420 employees, 428 of this morning. Pre-pandemic, we were closer to 500, but recruitment is really difficult at the moment. And when you're looking at job retention, and Natural HR has helped us with that, and I'll go on to that, it's about recruiting people for the right reasons, not just for the sake of recruiting. It's key in business, it's key. Okay, I don't believe we ever stopped learning, and back in 2015 I had much to learn about hospitality. So I just spent 30 years in logistics and planning. Even though you could sort of think that you take your HR and your health and safety expertise and you just move it to a new sector, it's not really true, because you need to understand the sector, you need to understand the roles and responsibilities of people rather than just doing things for the sake of doing things. With today's fast pace of communication and the expectations, especially of younger people, communication is so important. Everyone wants everything now, everyone wants everything today, everyone wants everything last 5 minutes ago. And it's really important that you're able to communicate with your staff, with people in your organisation effectively. And that's one of the things Natural HR has helped me to achieve. To do that, back in 2015, I realised that the system that was in place then was predominantly a health and safety system with a HR sort of bolt-on. It doesn't work. Even though there's synergies between HR and health and safety, I'm a true believer that you need independent systems. Health and safety is more about compliance. Businesses need to protect themselves. Get that all day long, it's very true. However, HR is about communication, it's about being personable, it's about giving people what they want and you getting back in return what you need as a business. Okay? I also had to look at in-house efficiencies and what we were doing. It wasn't only about our staff. If we weren't doing things internally efficiently, it wasn't good. We weren't in a good place for a business. So I needed to modernise what we were doing and also create engagement with our staff. Over 400 people. We're close to 500 people working with the business then. We needed to sort of bring it all together. Hopefully I've set the scene, and what I would now like to demonstrate what I've achieved, or what we've achieved, me with Natural HR, and it has been a journey over the last 4 years. And it is really about communication and that engagement with employees. I'd imagine most people sitting here today in some form or other are HR professionals, I learned a long time ago, I was told a long time ago, and I think it's very true, human resources is effectively the oil in the engine. And no one really sees the oil in the engine, but if it's not there, the engine will seize up very quickly. So what I believe HR has given me is a good engine to work with. Okay, if you can sort of get that analogy that I've sort of thought together. Okay, the business was previously working, like I say, predominantly with a health and safety system, with some HR functionality. Them synergies, like I say, I had to move forward. And I'd suggest if anyone is working with HR and the health and safety system, they need to look at it. And hopefully there's lots of different systems around here today, but have a look at Natural HR. And I'm not up here doing a sales pitch, I'm talking from personal experience. If we look at human resource management systems, or what they call them, HIRSs, they can be pretty boring. So when I was looking for a new system, I was looking that something could effectively become an employee's friend. And I had to make that happen. We were talking about behavioural change in our business. We were talking about employees that had never had anything like this before. So I had to bring them on board with that. And it doesn't happen overnight. So I had to introduce them to it slowly. And that transition has taken time. But now it becomes the norm. And when you do have new staff join, they know nothing else. In Natural HR, I believe I found this and it worked for our business. So, how does it work for us? How do I make Natural HR work for us? So when someone joins our business, they're onboarded via Natural HR. So we go through the recruitment process, and at the point where we're generating their contract, we call that onboarding. We're all familiar with onboarding. That all happens via the system. So their first welcome email officially to the system comes via Natural HR. It gives them their joining instructions, and it also gives them access to the system, and they see things like their contracts for employment. They can log on and they electronically sign their contracts for employment. So straight away from day one, it's their engagement. From that point, they have access to things like an employee handbook, things like the staff notice boards. Each of our sites have got staff notice boards electronically, and we've got a group staff notice board. So at that point where they get their contract and they're welcome to the business, they can log on and they can see the staff notice boards. When we populate things on staff notice boards, we can populate them for a week, we can populate them for a month. They're not just up there as wallpaper. So you have that control with the system. Our processes, and I learned this over time, they encourage, but not only encourage, our staff need to engage with the system. So staff need to go to the Natural HR. It becomes their friend when they're talking about work and what they're doing at work. What they do, at that point, we do lots of things on the system. So when they log into the system, they will actually see a picture of themselves. They will see all the information about themselves, all the documents that they've received and they've signed, or if they haven't signed. They'll get a workflow notification if they have got something to do. So there's lots of things. So straight away, they're engaged. And big things to staff is holidays. On their notice boards, on their dashboard, on their employee dashboard, they see a holiday wheel. So with our staff, our holidays are quite complicated because we have days and we have hours. We have staff that work 40 hours a week and they have a number of days holiday a year. And we have people that are on hours. So they accrue time in line with the hours that they work, and the system automatically displays that for them. So enrolling staff from day one sets the tone, and it demonstrates that sort of professional business model that I'm sure we all want to sort of portray, and that we all act to all our staff that are joining the business. If we start right, it's a likelihood that we're going to follow that through. Would we agree? Yeah? Okay. So what the system also allows me to do, and I believe single points of dependence are dangerous in business, and I've got people that can support me with this. However, the system allows me to generate contracts for everyone that starts in the business. So we have workflows. So when a new member of staff is being onboarded, when they're onboarded or added to the system, it triggers an approval workflow. Then before their contract is issued, and I send them that email saying welcome to the business, I actually generate their contract through different templates depending on where they're working, what hours they're going to be working, what part of the business, and what their contract's going to entail. So it becomes pretty seamless the way we do that. Okay, so you can imagine the employee count we've got. No one starts in our business without their contract coming over the table, as it were, in old money. Okay? All new staff, let's say, receive that email and electronically view it and sign it in. New staff can then check, as part of that email, they go onto the system, they check, see if their bank details correct. Really important. People go to work to get paid. That's a big thing. They check to see is their email address will be correct. That's one of the things that we do get. If they've given us the wrong email address, they don't get the welcome email. That's part of the course. But they can check then all their personal data to see is that correct. And if it isn't, for whatever reason, they can update it. So if their bank details are not correct and they update it, the system will electronically notify accounts and we can update our systems accordingly. Okay? So we have a number of workflows that trigger at that point, and there's lots of things happen. When a new person comes on board, there's a workflow goes to the employee's manager, and they're asked to complete the day one induction with that person in their department. So till they complete the day one induction, they mark the workflow as complete. Now, for people above the managers, we can run reports to see where we are with employee inductions and have they been marked as complete, electronically go onto the system and check them. We also do 5 and 10 week staff reviews. So from the day the employee joins the business, in 5 weeks' time, the system will send the employee a questionnaire. And it's basically asking them how they're getting on with their first 5 weeks in the business and to give us some feedback. When they complete that, the system triggers an email to their manager to say it's been complete, and the manager will then sit down and go through the first 5 weeks and what they've put as their feedback. We do the same at 10 weeks. The questions slightly change because we've progressed, and after the 10-week review, then the person is more than likely complete the probationary period and off we go. But it's a way of engaging staff, managers, and actually recording it en route. We're a 24/7 business, hospitality, especially more at the hotels and the museum and the conference centre, and time management is so important. What we do with Natural HR, or what Natural HR lends us, is we create every week, manager will do a rota, and they will build a rota for their staff for the following week. Now this is a forecast. So they submit the forecast to their manager and it will be approved or declined. If it's declined, it goes back to the manager and they build the rota in line with the business for the following week. The approver actually sees a costing for that department as well as the hours that are going to be worked. So I could probably log onto my system now and see the rota that's been built for the windmill kitchen next week. Has it been approved or hasn't it been approved? And how much the windmill kitchens cost to run next week for us as a business. So that is a forecast, okay? Once the forecast has been approved, it's then sent back to the manager and he publishes it out, or she publishes it out, and it sends an email to the employee and it says your working hours for next week are this, this, this and this. The employee receives their rota, and then when they come into work, they actually scan in using an ID card that we give an employee when they join the business with a unique QR code. So they scan in at an iPad, and that effectively says I've arrived, and they scan out when they leave, effectively saying I've left. So if they've arrived before their rota, finished after their rota is finished, we pay them for the bit in the middle, or it validates their time. However, there's exceptions. We might have people that are asked to work an extra hour or an extra 2 hours, or the rota's changed. That's fine, because the time tracking is real and the rotas are a forecast. So we run reports then, and the reports are supported, and then they go to payroll to pay. But the manager validates reports for payroll. But the system allows us to do that. So all our employees, you can log in and you can run reports on time worked. You can do all that time tracking data search on any employee. They don't have to be on a rota to work. They can scan in and scan out, and their time can be validated to be paid accordingly. It was a game changer for us, an absolute game changer, because it helped us record factually time at work. Holiday requests. Holiday requests are so personable to people. So when I talked about the dashboard, when people join the business, they're starting next week, they'll look at their dashboard and they'll see holidays as 0. When their first day of work, the holidays will be populated, and then they can submit holiday requests. If someone submits a holiday request and it's approved, it will automatically go on to Rota Builder. So when manager in 2 weeks' time goes to build a rota, they will see holidays or time off requests on the actual rota because they've approved. So that helps with building rota and managing people's time. We also have different holiday types. We do toil. So if someone's contracted to do 40 hours a week and they do over 40 hours a week and do over 6 hours on a sixth day, we'll actually give them an extra day's holiday. Well, they've earned the time, but we call that toil. The system will run a lookup search on a Monday, well, it's actually on a Wednesday morning, and it will apply toil to a person's account for the week before. So they accrue holiday. Okay. We also have service days. So staff that have worked with us for 3 years, once they hit that 3-year threshold, we'll apply a service day to their account. So they get an automatic date, an extra day's holiday. And that's all the way up to 8 years. So staff can get another 5 days holiday a year. So that's all a little bit about recruitment, engagement. But it's good because all the staff can see it. So effectively you can have 3 lines for your time off. You can have time off, which is your standard. You can have your toil, and you can have service days. What we also do with the system, there's lots of little clever things in there. You can say someone scans in and they forget to scan out. The system will automatically clock people out after 16 hours. We set them parameters. It will send the manager an exception. They have to go in and validate the time worked. There's also exceptions if people don't scan in on time or scan out on time. So there's lots of things to help the managers manage their teams so they don't have to be there all the time. Like I say, just to make things easy, we have 2 holiday types. So with our casual employees, they accrue leave. So the number of hours they actually work and the time that's validated, they will accrue leave at 12.07% of the time worked. So they actually see their hours increasing on their holiday wheel. So when they book that time off, they can see it, and it's in their power to request it or control it. The list goes on. All absences on natural HR. If a manager's comes into work today and Julie doesn't turn up, Julie's marked sick on the system. Until Julie returns, she's not marked as returned to work. He can put a note in to say, Julie called in today, suspected food poisoning. When Julie comes back to work, she'll be marked as returned to work, and at that point, the system will trigger what's called a self-certification. I'm sure we're all familiar with that. Julie will complete a self-certification online. Once Julie's completed that, it will then trigger the manager to sit down and do the return to work. So it's all electronically footprinted. Okay, with food management, I've just chosen food poisoning there. What we do in our return to work, we ask, are they clear from sickness for the last 48 hours before they return to work. So there's lots of little things in there. But what Natural HR does, it gives me that electronic footprint to check all this and to validate it. We can also send out communication. Communications, I can send them out instantly to the whole group, or I can send them out to departments, or I can send them out to sites. We can put receipts on the communications. In Natural HR world, it's called metadata files, so we can send them out by cost centre or department. it's as powerful as you want it to be. It's as powerful as you want it to be. Communication is key. Like I say, it says on there, it's a one-stop for managers, and that's exactly what it is. It's the manager's friend as well as the employee's friend. When you have leavers, say if a manager comes in, he's got someone that's resigned, they will pop a leave. There's a leaver tab on their file, so they can mark someone a leaver, and it will then notify appropriate people in the business that that person has resigned, and then it will action things accordingly. Once they've left the business, all files go into an archive. So I'm sure like you do, I get reference requests. Person's left the business. If I go into my archive, I can see all the history on that employee while they've been with the business. It makes it relatively simple to do a reference request. I've actually got a template on Natural HR where I can actually do a reference by a click of a button, and it will populate date start, date finish, role undertaken while with the business. So it's a straightforward business reference at the click of a button. Very simply, Natural HR gives me the information that I need to communicate with employees, and it gives me the tool to do that. This can be as powerful as you want it to be. It can be, your friend. It's like anything, you'll get out of it what you put into it. But as a human resource management tool, I'm an advocate of it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be standing here today. Like I say, this is not my day job. I was asked to do this, and I was more than happy to. You can also access Natural HR via mobiles, via your tablet. So it's like friendly for our junior users. What I'm working on currently with Natural HR, I believe it's important to keep pushing forward. And Natural HR has been a journey. Where we are now as a business hasn't just happened. It has been 4 years of progression. I'm looking at a revised onboarding process, so we can actually send out that job offer email through Natural HR. And rather than us filling in employee details, we send them a link and the employee fills in their own details, and then we'll onboard them via that way. I'm also looking at working with Perkbox. So what I'd like to be able to do with Perkbox, I believe it's been integrated into the system. So people that I want to, or within our organisation, that we want to give the perks of Perkbox to, we can integrate them via Natural HR onto Perkbox. So it's all little intricacies like that can help you to manage your people and what they do. Top tips on a system. Wow. That's a big one. It's easy to say, isn't it? Do your research. It's what you want from it. But if you get a good HR system, I'm sure you're all using one of sorts, it is a game changer. It's an absolute game changer. Where we were as a business from HR point of view 4 years ago and where we are now would be very difficult to measure. The information and the reports that I can run now, it's endless. I can glean information from whatever subject I want, from starters, levers, time management, you name it, it's all there. Because the information's in the system. It's like I say, it is a journey. Like I say, it was a game changer for me. I will be around the Natural HR stand for the next sort of hour or so. If anyone wants to come and speak to me one-to-one, I'm more than happy to talk to you about my personal experience. I'm a pretty honest guy, so I'll say it as it is. And hopefully that might help if you are looking at a system like. What I would like to say is that when I first met Natural HR, I sat in an office, I remember in our wardroom at the National Motorcycle Museum, and I sat around a table, and the way I like to build up with service providers is them to be personable and to be, generally I like local providers as well, just being honest, I'd like to work with local people. I looked over the table, and I didn't realise at the time, it was the CEO of the business, Jason, who was over there, and that's where the story started. But what I can say you do get from this business is that personable touch. They care about your business and what you want from the system. Okay, so thank you to Jason, Sarah, and all the Natural HR team. and thank you very much for your time today.